that are way beyond
Yes.
what is even within our knowledge
Yes.
base and all the research that we have
Right.
done.
I know.
And then you have so many wonderful people here around the world, as well as here in the United States, that they've been in survival mode for the last 2-3 months.
Yes.
Because either their place of work closed, their income disappeared. Those who managed to maintain working, or those who were financially solvent,
Right.
and so this really didn't impact them that much.
Right.
But there is a huge population, more so than ever before, that are in survival. And so how much time do you have when you're in survival to spend hours on the internet looking this person, this and this opinion and that opinion, and from here to actually educate yourself beyond how am I going to put food on the table for myself, for my child, if you're single parenting, for my family.
Right.
And again, I go back to, and I said this many videos ago, that we have never experienced anything like this first in the entire existence of our planet. And the last time we experienced something that was of this magnitude took place in World War I, World War II,
Right.
when it hit the entire planet.
Right.
And women going to work and men going to war.
Yeah.
And though it's I guess you can call a virus a type of war, that we went to war against this and how to deal with it. But the shock of it and the impact of it, like you said, I'm talking about going dancing and going to the movies.
Sure.
And thank you, because you brought it to, that's the now, but where are we going from here? We need to be vigilant every week, every month, vigilant that every single freedom is restored,
Right.
and is never taken away from us.
Yeah.
So we need to learn from the present, we need to learn from the past, and we need to plan differently for the future.
Well, if I were to be a glass half full guy, this virus has exposed so much. It's exposed the vulnerabilities in us,
Yes.
you, me, everybody, our country, our government, globally. It's if we allow it, if we pay attention to the message,
Yes.
it's showing us what matters
Yes.
and who doesn't matter. And but we don't want to discount the need to go dancing, to go to the coffee shop, the normalcy that comes from that.
Yeah.
Because we're social people, we need that type of stuff. But that's the icing on the cake, so to speak, But it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose, But this is some waters that we've never been in before.
Never.
And anybody that says they aren't concerned / scared, I would wonder.
Yeah. So I want to add to, because the cup being half full. So the wonderful things that have come out of this is, first of all, the awakening. And I think Great Spirit, Wakantanka, God, Christ, Buddha, by whatever the higher powers, would not give us anything we cannot deal with and learn from. So I'm always asking myself, what am I trying to teach myself?
Right.
What have I learned from this? Now, besides making sure there's always enough toilet paper on the shelves, and I used to live in the mountains, so we always had the canned foods. We always had supplies.
Sure.
But what I've learned from this is how much I enjoyed the quiet time at home. How much I enjoyed I let my body wake up naturally instead of forcing it to get up early, to get to the gym, to get to here, to make sure I had enough hours in the day for working.
Yes.
And the people who have shared, and my son shared, that it was so nice having, even though college, high school kids were home from school, it was so nice having dinner together. It was so nice walking up and down his street, and though there was social distancing, kids were playing in the front yard.
Right.
That's what we used to do when I was a child. Our mothers or fathers would call us to come in for dinner. We never wanted to leave the yard. We weren't stuck on the computer or on the video games, of which I'm really dated myself with by just saying video games. And we got a taste, a little bit of things slowing down and spending more time with each other, more quality time.
Right.
And there are people who really enjoyed working at home because they did have more time with the family.
Right.
And then there were those who it didn't work for them. They really needed the work structure. I've always, most of my life, I have worked at home and I've run my own business. So some of the gifts that this has brought is I'm calmer. I'm appreciating more time, and I'm not in a rush during the day. And there's gifts that this has given us. Like you said, if we can wake up to it, this has been a knock on the door of our planet, saying, "Wake up and live differently."
Right.
What do we value? I value my family. I value people more so than things that I'm going to buy.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I value being able to go outside, have the sun on your shoulders.
Yes.
If you think about it, the irony is going outside, getting fresh air, going for a walk, vitamin D, essential.
Yes.
These are all things that certain entities are trying to tell us don't do.
And the UV rays of the sun, we were just talking about it this morning at coffee.
Yeah.
The UV rays of the sun actually kill viruses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The sun, heat. Yeah. I agree. So it's like a restructuring. I'll give you a quick example. When Marianne went through yoga training, there was a process that they were going through. It was a lot more than, I thought it was just about stretching and poses and everything like that, but it was a spiritual awakening, if you will.
Right.
And at graduation, everybody had the opportunity to stand up and say something about, who they're supporting, So I was kind of scared out of my mind, but I'm like, no, go ahead, do it. So I stood up, and the example that I gave was I had watched her go through this process, this deconstructing herself, taking herself apart, piece by piece, down to the foundation, maybe even just down to the earth, and then build it back up, and I felt fortunate just to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small part, making her lunch before she goes to class or whatever it is, that's my role, is to just be supportive. But the reason I bring that up is because I think that to me, that's kind of what we have going on right now. Because I've always believed we have known everything that we needed to know. We got away from it, and I think we're coming back.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming back full circle.
Yes.
And I struggle with the concept of moving ahead, not so much in the sense of trying new things, but and not to get political, but there's so many different things that are happening now that could be solved by a more, let's stand back, let's take a little bit more conservative approach to this and see what happens. And the emotional part is important,
Yes.
but it shouldn't run the show,
Exactly.
in my view. The analytical part is important, but it shouldn't totally run the show. So we have to find that balance, that gray spot.
Well, that gray spot in the center is spiritual.
Yeah.
And it's where we should allow the spirit and our relationship and connection to a higher source to guide us.
Right.
And that's one of the things I've been working with clients is I will ask them, well, have you prayed? Are you spiritual? I'm not talking about religious. I'm not talking about going to church. Do you every day have a connection with? Are you being guided by? Do you feel protected by
Right.
something greater than yourself?
Right.
And it's such a simple concept. And the first time you actually say a prayer, like, I'm so angry right now, please, Great Spirit, help me to release this anger. Help me to understand it. And then all of a sudden, there was like this warm energy flowing over me, and I just feel all the stress, everything being taken away, and I'm at one. I'm at peace,
Right.
and I feel the calm, and with that comes the clarity. So if anyone has ever had one time in their life that experience, we can have it multiple times if we remember to tap into the source
Yeah.
and find that center.
And be aware. It's to me, it starts with awareness. You know, always come back. I always try and come back to myself, and just be aware of where I'm at. I try and do that when if I'm dealing with a certain individual that I don't like catchphrases, but let's say they trigger me a little bit.
Okay.
You know, and I understand that about myself with this person. So I'll set my intent before I even go in. My dad is a good example. Okay. Oil and water. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that. I spent the first 2 years of therapy trying to fix him before I came to the realization it was about me.
Yeah.
Okay. You've heard that story
Yeah.
before.
And thank you for mentioning that you've done therapy, because a lot of people have this feeling about therapy. They'll go to a doctor if they're sick. They'll go to a dentist. But when it comes to like marriage counseling or sex therapy, you know, there's just still this thing about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, no.